thing helped save my life.
Fake, scheme, lie.
Conversion therapy, reparative therapy, ex-gay therapy, different names, all describing the same treatment.
Treatment that tries to fix or change someone's homosexuality. Fox 5's Kathleen Jacob traveled down to Dallas, Texas, home to one of the biggest conversion therapy movements in history, and joins us in studio to explain what she found. Kathleen.
John, Christine, just today, Governor Brian Sandoval signed a law banning conversion therapy on minors. Many call it dangerous, abusive, unethical. But on the flip side, there are those who say banning this is even more dangerous, more abusive, more unethical. In Dallas, I was able to talk to people on all sides, from an actual practicing conversion therapist to former leaders of one of the biggest conversion therapy movements in history.
I was a pastor of 2 different churches, and at one point was executive director of a conversion therapy Christian ministry.
That Christian ministry was a branch of Exodus, one of the world's largest conversion therapy ministries in history.
We were the shapers of this movement early on, and and we've all left, and we all now speak out against what we were once involved in.
For Bill, like many others, his involvement with conversion therapy began on a personal level.
I'm a very young boy. I knew I was not like the other boys that I knew, my friends. I knew I was different.
But that difference was not accepted by the ministry he'd grown so close to.
About 4 or 5 years into the ministry, I learned about these groups that promise to help people cure their homosexuality. I was serious about wanting to fix this since I was told that it needed to be fixed. Prayer, fasting, having hands laid on me, having demons cast out of me, having anointed with oil, anything that somebody said this will help, I did it.
His story matches so many others.
I literally hated myself.
James Gay.
I tried reading the Bible and praying for God to take it away and joining every youth group I could.
Now a therapist in LA who specializes in treating people who have had experiences like him.
I went to churches growing up. I was very religious.
Sean Sala, a military man, now a gay rights advocate.
Churches told me I was demon-possessed. They told me that I had an evil spirit.
All of these men looking for something more to take this sin away.
In my late teens, I went into conversion therapy as a last-ditch effort.
I wanted to see if there was psychological treatment for it, because I knew I'd done everything in a religious context that I could. A lot of it was about trying to find a root cause. The basis of a lot of our work is finding, okay, was I abused sexually, physically, emotionally, or otherwise? I didn't know of any, but I was like, well, maybe there's a repressed memory or something.
I went to one person who promised that if I let them take me through my past hurts, even memories that I don't have, that I couldn't bring to mind, probably if I could be healed of these hurt memories of my past. And in that session, he began to touch me inappropriately. When I asked, he said, well, this will help you get in touch with some of the trauma of your past.
Being taught to sit like a man, talk like a man, play sports like a man. The methods of conversion therapy are endless.
I mean, just imagine someone that's been shocked or provided medicine to induce nausea, and then shown images of people that they would normally find attractive. And imagine what that would do to your sexuality.
But for these men, no method could change that part of them.
I one day got very honest, sitting in a room by myself with a bottle of bourbon and a gun, saying I can't do this anymore.
I was going to take my life, but I kind of had a spiritual realization at that point that if God does really love me, why would God ever want me to do something like this to myself?
And I told God, I'm done. And I knew that I would turn my back on everything I believed in and everything that was important to me, but I couldn't keep doing it. I couldn't keep lying. Part of me knew that as a person of faith, I was not living honestly, and I was not living with integrity.
All three of these men went into conversion therapy truly wanting to change themselves. All three of them came out feeling beaten, broken down, ready to end everything. Now they've each accepted who they are. They're leading happy lives as openly gay men and working to help end the practice of conversion therapy everywhere. But at 11, I'm going to introduce you to another man with a very different story.
It was the most transformative therapeutic work I've ever had in my life.
He went through conversion therapy and says it saved his life. Now he's a practicing reparative therapist who treats people struggling with homosexual feelings. We'll have his side plus more on the legislative movement to end this coming up at 11.
All right, Kathleen, thank you for that in-depth report. We look forward to seeing your other part 2 at 11.
Now,
I literally hated myself.
told me I was demon possessed. They told me that I had an evil spirit.
One day got very honest, sitting in a room by myself with a bottle of bourbon and a gun, saying I can't do this anymore.
Earlier tonight, we introduced you to 3 openly gay men who told us that they sought out treatment trying to fix themselves or rid themselves of their homosexuality through conversion therapy.
All of those men told Fox 5 heartbreaking stories of self-hate and abuse. Now, they all work to try to end conversion therapy.
But there is another side of the story, the people who say without this type of therapy, they'd be dead. Fox 5's Kathleen Jacob traveled to Dallas to explore this controversial topic. She joins us in studio. Kathleen?
Yeah, John, Christine, while I was down there, I met with former leaders of one of the biggest conversion therapy ministries in history. I met with men who went through this as teens and are still healing. But I also met with someone who's been through this, says it's worked for him, and now he's a practicing reparative therapist himself.
Authentic reparative therapy is based on the belief, on the client's belief, that their homosexual feelings are caused not by anything genetic, but because by trauma in childhood.
David Pickup knows firsthand.
I was a client, and I was one of those little boys at 5 years of age that got sexually abused by a budding young pedophile. I found an authentic reparative therapist, and reparative therapy, the real thing, helped save my life. It was the most transformative therapeutic work I've ever had in my life.
He says that's why he struggled with homosexual feelings.
Long story short, I grew up repressing and feeling extreme shame for having homosexual feelings. I never identified with being gay, but I had what one might call same-sex attraction, a real issue, knowing that wasn't the real me, but had those experiences. I found an authentic reparative therapist, and reparative therapy, the real thing, helped save my life. It was the most transformative therapeutic work I've ever had in my life.
So what does that work entail?
Psychodynamic, cognitive behavioral, a little bit. And now the new element that's been added to reparative therapy is EMDR. If a client has a psychodynamic experience in session, they are going back to and uncovering emotionally those wounds of how severe it felt not to get enough affection and love and affirmation of their identity.
That, paired with getting rid of shame and EMDR, which uses rapid eye movement to deal with trauma, is the answer, according to David. So why the controversy? Why the push to ban this therapy in Nevada and other states?
But it's always pray away the gay kinds of, quote, counseling, or some kind of religious shaming, or boot camp, some horrendous kind of thing like that. Nothing like that ever happens in professional licensed therapy.
However, others that have been through religious conversion therapy and even preached it say they don't see the difference. John Smid wanted to believe this type of therapy would work on him, on the other people he tried to help in his church.
So I took child development theories and I began to process them myself, look at my own life, look at other people's lives, and I thought, oh my goodness, it makes sense.
The methods he describes identical to what David describes.
It was really a time of liberty for me when I first got started in it. It was a time when I was hopeful about my future.
But after years of trying to change himself, John realized it wasn't working for him.
It just came to the place where I finally resigned. I said, okay, I'm done with this.
He speaks out now, along with many others, trying to get this therapy banned everywhere.
I remember the morning that I heard that the governor had signed SB 1172. And I just wept with my partner in kind of celebration, but knowing the impact of that law and how it would protect youth just meant so much to me.
When it comes to 18 and below, they should not have an option to choose something so destructive. It's like you wouldn't let kids drink poison, and this is poisoning the minds of youth.
But for David and other conversion therapists working to help kids who don't want to be gay, a ban means destruction.
This law prevents them from walking into my office and lessening or dissipating homosexual feelings caused by abuse. That's exactly what will happen to the minors in Nevada for whom this therapy really applies, who they don't feel forced, that they really want and need this. And to ignore the hearts of those children, I don't know if I have a strong enough negative word for that. Why can't we protect gay and straight children? Why can't we protect all children?
Today, Governor Sandoval did sign that bill into law that bans licensed conversion therapists practicing on minors. David Pickup tells me he will be filing a lawsuit against the governor and the state of Nevada. If you missed the first part of this story or just want to a more in-depth look at both sides, I posted everything on our website, fox5vegas.com.
All right. Does he still have a lot of clients?
Yeah, he does. Actually, when we were there interviewing him, someone got their time wrong and showed up in the middle of our interview and had to reschedule. So he is still practicing, still has a lot of clients. And he's in Texas where they can still do this on minors right now.
All right. Very interesting report, Kathleen. Thank you.